None of us really know. None of us really know.
I know.
No, I know. Perfect timing, Keith.
Keith, what's up?
Your favorite movie of all time, F9.
Oh, good.
How is there any other choice than Remember the Titans being number one?
I'm curious.
I'm spoiling mine, but
Well, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good
I'm
question,
not even
Brian.
done talking.
you shouldn't be talking at this point.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Apocaflix Movies. Apocaflix Now, the movie hangout show that we do on the channel every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone in the chat. I see John Pierce, Gordon Post, and Apocaflix Movies. Somebody made a duplicate of our channel and is in the chat right there, just hanging out. Karen, hello everyone. My name's Gio. I'm the host. We have an exciting show for you today. We're going to do our movie watching challenge. We're going to talk DC. This is a very DC centric episode here. We got James Gunn officially directing the Superman Legacy.
Let's go.
We're going to talk Shazam, Fury of the Gods, talk about the movie, talk about what happened and the future of the character, all of that and more. Let's go around the panel and check in on everybody. Let's start with Mr. Jacob Bartley. Jacob, what's up? That's a nice blanket.
Oh, I know. I love it. It's so comfortable too, and I just like looking at it, you know.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, I'm doing well, man. As you can see, I mean, some people have already seen this, but I changed my background up a little bit, rearranged my whole room.
Actually, Jacob, nobody has seen it because that video hasn't dropped yet.
I meant Jake and Brian have seen it, but then it would have sounded weird, like you guys came in my room, like just you two for some reason. But anyways, yeah, so doing well. I always, for me, like rearranging your room is like getting a new room. Every time I walk in, I'm like, whoa, like I forget that I rearranged it. So that puts me in a good mood.
I did that yesterday. I spent my whole day off. We got a new bed frame. So I took the old one out. It took me like 3 hours to like finally but like halfway in, I'm like, wow, this room is so big. So I was like vacuuming, and then I just put a brand new bed frame back in. I'm like, oh, now it's back to the same old.
It's like a whole project. But
I didn't rearrange.
Yeah. Oh, move the bed in. Yeah, same thing.
Hey, that's very much a thing, right? I mean, I think we're all guilty of that, where we just, one day out of the blue, we just say, you know what, I want to rearrange things a little here and there. I don't know. It's just something. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. Let's check in on Jake Berlin. Jake, what's going on, man? How you doing?
It's been a day, guys. It's been a long day. I had two 2-hour meetings today. It was exciting stuff. It is currently windy and rainy here. You can probably hear the water going up against the garage. But luckily for everyone watching, if it's annoying, I'll only be here for a little bit, unfortunately. So just strictly because I didn't get a chance to see Shazam. So I'm going to be here talking a little bit of movies with the fellas before they take over Shazam. So,
man, no, don't worry, Jake. You and a whole lot of other people didn't watch it, man. We're going to talk about that box office.
It wasn't by choice. It was by busyness. So, yeah.
Busyness. It's all good, man. We all busy. And then we have a guest joining us. Once again, you may have seen him on the channel. You might have seen him on his own channel, Flick and Reel. It is Sean Wingblade. Sean, thank you so much for joining us and filling in today. How are you?
Of course. I'm good. I'm good. Exactly what Jake was saying. It is windy and rainy. It was raining sideways when I got home from work about an hour ago. I was telling Gio, like I got home in a park and I just sat there in my car. I was like, I hope this dies down. I'm gonna wait it out just so I could run into the house because it was
Just do a quick short on YouTube.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey guys, while I'm waiting, you can hear the raindrops. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. When I got the Shazam symbol in the sky, I came running because I haven't get a chance to talk about it. I saw it late. I didn't get a chance to talk about it on my own channel. Jesse did the review. He saw it last Thursday, so I didn't see it till Sunday with the family. So I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. And my name is Gio again. I'm the host. Doing well, but I want to take a moment here. It's not in the notes. Something happened between last week's Now and this week. An unfortunate, tragic passing, an unforeseen actor, Lance Reddick, who will be in the upcoming John Wick Chapter 4. sadly passed away. And he, if you don't know him by name, he was the concierge in the Hotel Intercontinental, right? And John Wick.
I think it's just called the Continental.
The Continental. Thank you. I stand corrected. He also has a very lengthy filmography. When we're talking about The Wire, Fringe, he's been in Lost, the TV show, movies like White House Down, obviously John Wick, Percy Jackson. Very lengthy filmography. A passing that not many people saw coming, and there's videos online and people paying tribute. Keanu Reeves doing a beautiful tribute on the red carpet. Real quick, guys, any thoughts? Lance, Reddick?
Just very sudden.
Yeah.
Obviously, and everyone has the right to keep it to themselves, but just really, bad timing. And we obviously get to celebrate him and what he's kind of accomplished in John Wick 4, but an incredible character actor. He popped up in so many different things as so many different characters over time, and he always brought this like very eerie suave to a character. Like the concierge of the Continental has this super interesting like personality and demeanor that not very many people can do. And he was always great at doing that in any movie you watched him in. So yeah, hope, obviously best of wishes to his family and friends. So
it's always shocking too. He was only 60, but they also said natural causes. So I wonder what that exactly that means. And we may never know. And that's not for us to know anyway, but it's sad. It's sad when anyone goes before their time, when they not just contribute so much, but when they're such a, seemingly great person, and which everything we've heard about him over, especially the last few days, seems like he was just a really good person. So that part's sad. And I know his voice too, not just from movies, but from like video games too. Like he was the voice of Silas in Horizon Zero Dawn, and then also a Destiny character as well. And I can't remember the character's name off the top of my head, but you hear his voice and you're like, I know who that is. Exactly. Like as soon as you hear him, you're like, yeah, I can picture this guy. That's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that like I don't know his name off the top of my head, but as soon as I see him, I'm like, oh, that guy. Like he's been in a bunch of stuff that I've seen.
Right.
And especially gonna miss him in the John Wick franchise. But we do get one more outing from him, right? He's in chapter 4, right? Pretty sure.
He's in chapter 4, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's in the ballerina. If they've already started filming. It depends on how much filming they've done.
That'd be pretty cool.
But we could end up seeing him in the ballerina if he did shoot something. So
either way, we get him at least one more time, maybe a few more times. Who knows what other work he did? So we'll see. But very sad to hear.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Lance Reddick. Our condolences to the family. Thank you guys for saying kind words. And let's get the show moving. If you have seen the Now show, you know what's coming up. It's the movie watching challenge. And this week, oh, there it is. How does Brian do? Whatever. Okay, so sorry, botched it. Brian, last week was challenged to watch Minority Report, the Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise sci-fi epic. I'm calling it an epic. And he does have a video, which we'll be releasing tomorrow on the channel. So be ready to hear Brian's thoughts on Minority Report. I'm very curious about, what he has to say. Brian did choose somebody to challenge a movie that they haven't seen before. That's how this thing works. So, Jake, if you want to go ahead and bring up the challenge wheel and who he challenged.
Yeah, Brian decided to take a shot on someone who's having a very busy week and challenging me to watch a new movie that I've never seen.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll be reviewing a movie next week, and he actually picked 4 really like good movies that I've never seen. So we have American History X, we have Black Swan, we have The Green Mile, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Whoa,
nice. Four like heavy hits, big time heavy hits. 4 extremely different movies from each other.
I've only seen one of these 3, but I know the other 3 are heavy hitters.
Really? Which one have you seen?
The Green Mile.
Okay, and I know that one. I know the ending of that film because it's very well known.
Right.
And most like, if you have like a cinematic trailer or some type of like highlight reel, most of the time that movie is in there. But I've
Bring
always
the
wanted to watch Close
tissues.
Encounters. Spielberg.
That's the only one I haven't seen on this list.
I'm kind of terrified to watch Black Swan just because I don't know like what it's. I know it's about, but I don't like know how it goes down. And then Edward Norton in American History X, I've heard great things about. Obviously, it's probably going to be a pretty hard movie to watch, but
Yeah.
I'd be happy with any of these. I don't know what I would pick, honestly, if I could land on a wild card. So I'm hoping it doesn't land on wild card. We'll see.
We shall see. So, Jake, when you're ready, go ahead and click the wheel. And Green Mile.
There you go.
Stephen King adaptation. Tom Hanks. Oh my God, what's his name? He was
Michael
in The
Clark
Rock.
Duncan, right? Yep.
Michael
Sam
Clark
Rockwell's
Duncan.
in here.
Sam Rockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy I'm thinking of from The Rock? He was the second hand, and he says it's
Michael Bean.
No, David
Morse.
David Morse. Yeah, David Morse.
Okay.
Yeah. He's always like Lance Reddick, but he's always like that guy. He's always like a character actor in the background.
100%. He was in a Shia LaBeouf movie, but there it is right there.
Do you know
Jake?
the name of that Shia LaBeouf movie?
Yeah, Rihanna made a song of it. It's
What
called
is
Disturbia.
There you go.
Hey. There you go. I didn't realize this was turning into a trivia. I'm ready. Anyways, Jake will be watching The Green Miles, so stay tuned for his thoughts next week on the channel. And remember, Brian's video talking about Minority Report will be on the channel tomorrow, so stay tuned for that as well. Okay, let's not waste any time with this because I know Jake is on a time limit here.
Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. You're good.
Oh, okay. Well, then shoot. Let's just relax now.
Let's go back to how was your day?
Yeah. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
So, one of the bigger news topics in between last week's Now and this week that just kind of was all over Twitter was James Gunn officially announcing that he will. Of course, we knew he was writing, but now he is directing Superman Legacy, which will be the first movie in this DCU reboot, Chapter 1, titled Gods and Monsters. It was a very lengthy tweet from Mr. Gunn. Got into his, personal side with his dad and his brother, a conversation that they had where he shared the release date, which I believe was July
11th.
14th, I think, or July
11th.
July 11th. Thank you. 2025. And in a conversation he had with his brother, his brother revealed that, he cried and because it was in fact his dad's birthday. Very emotional tweet, very personal tweet, but it's official. James Gunn will be coming out the gates with writing and directing Superman Legacy. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Let's start with Jake. How important is this movie? How do you feel about James Gunn writing and directing a Superman movie? Can he pull it off? What do you hope to see?
I don't know why the color just changed.
You just got very jaundice real quick.
Hell? So it's just me moving my arm.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm in like the Matrix or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's not a surprise. Like I know that the reveal of it was kind of delayed and they announced the DC slate. And before that, it was announced that he was writing it. And he says it in his tweet thread that like he never saw himself writing it. And he kind of explained like what a project, like when he sees a project, what it takes for him to direct that project, like what he kind of feels in his bones per se. And it didn't take until his brother telling him, bro, that's dad's birthday. Like that's kind of a big turning point for him, is to realize that, that means so much to him, his father, his family. Like it's a very impactful movie for James Gunn. I'm absolutely okay with it. Like I'm not just okay with it. Like I'm happy that he's doing it. Like I don't think, of course, like I have options for people that I would love to see direct a Superman movie. And hopefully one day I get to see one or two of them do that. But I really do think James Gunn isn't just a good fit for storytelling purposes, but also because it's his universe. Like it's his universe with Peter Safran and probably a couple others as well. It only feels right that he kicks it off. Like,
Sure.
I know that you could have had a big time director come in and direct a Superman movie, which would have been totally fine. And I would have been totally okay with it. But it does kind of feel right that he's directing the first movie in the new DCU, being that he's going to be so heavily involved. Now, going back to what I was saying about the storytelling purposes, I said this on Twitter when it was announced. The reason I'm most excited is because it is the most different project he's ever directed. He's never directed a project like this before.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying in the terms of comic book movies, because obviously he's directed 3 of those in the past. We're going to see a 4th one here in May. But they're all like vulgar, violent, crazy, horror, like thrillers. That's what he does. Mysteries. Like, that's what he does. That's what he produces. That's what he does. He's never had to put his heart and soul into a project that requires hope, vibrancy, like a good outlook on the world where there's a saving grace. He's dealt with a lot of asshole people, for lack of a better way to say it, in his films as far as characters go. Not to say they're bad people, but a lot of them are pretty big assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Superman is the character. Like, he's the comic book character, the superhero of all time. He stands for way more than any other character in the history of comic book stories. And so that's what makes me excited about it, is that James Gunn has to now tap into something that we've never seen from him before. I have no doubt that he can do it. I think that if there was a project he was kind of saving to do that for, Superman is very much that project. But yeah, so it's a combination of like, it's starting the universe off, because the film, to me, it's the most important project for DC in the last, like, I don't know, 15 years, in my opinion. Like, because DC's been such in a weird state. We've talked about it plenty of times before, but it's Superman. We've been calling for Superman for 10 years. It's a brand new universe, and it's James Gunn in this universe. So it has a lot to do, but I think James Gunn's a great guy to do it. I'm very excited to see what he does with it. And I think he's going to bring something very different to the character of Superman. Even though the synopsis or plot summary of the movie does sound like Man of Steel.
He did say it's not an origin, so
I'm just saying. I
for
want
what it's worth. Yeah, no, totally. Well, Sean, Jacob, anyway.
I will say two things about what Jake said too. Just to slightly disagree that I think that a lot of the familial stuff that James did with Guardians is exactly what we want to see from this Superman story specifically. Especially when he talks about doing his the father relationship, or I guess not both of them, because you have Ma Kent as well, but the parent relationship with Clark and his parents, as well as Kal-El with his parents, and because those are 2 very different sides of him. So I do think he has the experience in that realm where he has dealt with that already, which is exactly what makes me most excited about that, because the mother relationship in Guardians 1, the father relationship in Guardians 2, and then kind of like the overall family relationship, which what it seems like we're getting with Guardians 3, not just from a parent stuff, but family, like brothers, sisters, and stuff like that, which is what kind of Peter Quill has become with the rest of the Guardians. That's what makes me most excited about that. And then, but I do agree with you what you said too, where he doesn't really have a character that is the big blue Boy Scout yet. I guess maybe Groot. Groot might be the most like innocent, but like nice until he turns ferocious during a battle type of thing. So we'll see once Groot gets dialogue, what kind of person he is compared to Superman or whatever. I'm excited about it. James Gunn. He's hit all of his comic book stuff out of the park. And he was, I don't know how much he was involved with Infinity War and Endgame, but he did have executive producer credits on those as well. So I'm sure he was partial collaborator with like a Feige and the Russos in their think tank of, hey, where is this universe going to go moving forward? So he has that experience as a whole to, hey, I'm going to direct a movie, but also I can help be on the creative side of where this universe story beat is going to go. Where does the highway lead? While Safran does all the back end executive stuff that he has to do to kind of keep the seat warm for Gunn while he's doing his work. So either way, I'm excited about it. Thank you, Jesse. Give me the legacy. Let's go. I'm jacked for it. I don't know who else I would have even picked to be honest. Like, dude, if you're writing the movie, then direct the movie. And the comments he made about like, oh, I didn't see myself doing that. Then why were you writing the movie if you weren't kind of in the back of your mind planning on doing it? Oh, I have this idea, but I don't want to direct it. Dude, you got the ball, run it, take it all the way, take it to the touchdown type of thing. So I'm jacked for it either way. There's not a negative thing I can say about the entire situation. Other people can. There's been a lot of speculation too. Oh, he's splitting his attention and he's not going to be able to, set up the rest of the universe. I'm sure they have tons of producers and tons of team, and Safran is going to run all the back end stuff. He's the creative vision, and if you're going to start the universe, then you're giving it that stamp, just like a J.J. Abrams comes in and directs the first episode of Lost, right? He starts the tone, but he didn't direct every episode of the whole series, right? No, you don't. You pass it on to other people. So it's going to be good either way, I think. And we have so much time. We're just going to have to wait and see. And it's I guess it's fun to talk about, but let's stay err on the positive side until we get some negative. The only part, and we'll talk about it more with Shazam, the only part is I think that the universe is very convoluted with what is actually sticking around and what is not, because we got very muddy waters with the way Shazam turned out. And we'll get to that more once we get to spoilers and stuff like that. So that part I have issue with, but we'll see where that ends up. And the Flash may redo everything. So who knows? We have no idea what's going to happen in the next few months.
I just noticed that you're wearing a Superman shirt. Are you, Sean? Nice.
Yes.
Was that intentional?
Maybe.
So. But no, I love
it. It ain't my work uniform.
Yeah.
It was intentional.
Fair. It should be. No, I love this because, I assumed he was going to direct. If he's writing, he's written stuff that other people have directed, but who wants to come in with the pressure of I'm going to direct your movie, James Gunn. I hope it's how you like it. No, James Gunn has to direct this movie. And like you guys said, it is very different from what he did. Guardians has that familial aspect, but they're all they're basically all kind of like Suicide Squad characters where they're all killers. They're all, have troubled pasts, and they're all morally, ambiguous. So I think Superman isn't morally ambiguous. He's usually not. Unless he gets manipulated somehow. So it's going to be very interesting to see him say that. But I agree with you, Jake. When I heard the synopsis of this, it sounds very similar to a lot of Superman stories that we've seen, including Man of Steel. But I guess you have to deal with those things, right? When you're dealing with Superman, obviously in Man of Steel, he deals with the sides of his two fathers and how different they are and everything. And they want him to go down different paths. So we'll probably see that, but maybe just in a lighter tone. I'm not sure, because it's going to be interesting to see how James Gunn goes from the type of dialogue that he writes in a Guardians movie, even a Suicide Squad movie, to this. This has to be treated like something special, just something. It's the most valuable IP they have when it comes to DC. So, or that and Batman. But
what are the top 3 superheroes in the world?
Yeah,
of all time. It's Superman, it's Batman, and Spider-Man. I think is probably number 3.
I Spider-Man for sure.
All time, and this is the number 1, right?
So,
which the box office has. We haven't seen the returns for the box office, which is so sad to say.
Yeah. They can't F this up. They just got to let it communicate to the audience that hey, this is a new Superman. Let's go. So that's all I'm hoping for.
There's a lot writing on this movie. Okay, you're talking about starting a whole new universe after this most recent one. The DCEU just had the worst kind of run that you could possibly imagine for a comic book studio, and I'm comparing it to Marvel. It's come on now. They for the last 15 years they've been the gold standard of that. So there's a lot riding on this movie for the DCU. For the Superman, it might be even worse, because I feel like fans are really wanting a their Superman movie, which is a movie that's hopeful and bright and, just everything that, longtime Superman fans have been wanting to see that they didn't get in their mind from Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder. And then you look at the last couple of Superman movies, Man of Steel. I think I don't know if all of us are a fan of it. I know, Sean, are you a fan of Man of Steel?
Absolutely.
Okay, so all of us are a fan of Man of Steel. The movie made 661 million, so it did all right, but it was very divisive amongst critics. And then you go back to Superman Returns with Brendan Routh, and that one was a little bit more, liked by critics and fans, but it didn't do that well at the box office, and also it left more to be desired.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back even further to the last two Christopher Reeves movies, Superman 3 and Superman 4. So you consider all of that, plus the DCU, it needs to get off on a great start. There is so much pressure, and it doesn't surprise me that James Gunn is directing. If anything, that might have been something to help ease David Zaslav's worries about this whole universe. Because you just said, Henry Cavill, we're good. Presumably you said Gal Gadot, we're good. And we all heard about Ben Affleck and his comments. He's done. So yeah, that's quite a bit that you're leaving behind. And maybe there's money being left on the table for this new DCU. So I do not envy James Gunn. Okay. I mean, just if he didn't know, the fans on Twitter are reminding him just how much he better not mess this movie up. The thing with his dad and all that's nice. As a fan, it doesn't do much for me. I still worry about dumb things like, is the character going to have red trunks or not? I am hoping that is not the case. Please don't do that, James Gunn. Okay, you can make your Superman hopeful and Boy Scout and all that kind of stuff, but do not do the red trunks, please. That's just my opinion right there. So we'll see. I would imagine maybe at Comic-Con we might get a casting announcement, because then by that point it'll be 2 years until
it'll be just under 2 years away.
Under 2 years.
Because Comic-Con's the last week of June or something like that?
Last week of July, usually.
Last week of July.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so just under.
So he's got some time. I think he's still working on the script, right? That's
sure.
Yeah.
They're so much further along with anything that any of us know about, I guarantee. Right. Any, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, they're always further along than we know about.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Any final thoughts on Superman Legacy, James Gunn, Red Trunks?
Give him the red trunks.
Give him the red trunks. Why not? Who cares? There's so many. One thing I love that Zack Snyder said when everyone was hating on him for not doing the red trunks for Man of Steel was, he's like, okay, which version of the suit are you talking about? Are you talking about this one, or this one, or this one? Like there's 100 different versions of every hero's suit. Do the one that looks the best for the movie you're making. And for Man of Steel, it looked great because the Kryptonians had these bodysuits, right? So it made sense. Okay, his is just a bluer version of the black bodysuit that all the Zod's people had. Like, whatever fits the aesthetic, who cares if it has red trunks or not? As long as it doesn't have pockets, just don't give him pockets. Like maybe utility belt or something. I don't know.
Did he have pockets at one point?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I know.
What does he need pockets for?
Something we never saw in Smallville is like he would wear a red leather jacket and then have a blue shirt underneath, and he had the even S symbol, and it's like, all right, dude, you're just like teetering on not.
He didn't have the S symbol until season 8, Sean. Get your facts right.
The very last
Get
scene,
your facts
though,
right.
is when he finally. I think he even wore the Routh suit for the last scene of the show when he finally like
He was in the
opens up
suit
his
for
shirt.
literally 5 seconds as he was running
Yes.
on top of the roof, ripping his shirt off. That was it.
That part annoyed me about Smallville. I wanted
No,
him in the
you're
suit.
annoying.
I
You
love
guys are
Smallville. I love it.
spoiling
I wish
Smallville
I
for-
wish you
You
spoiler
need to watch
for
it
a
now. No.
21-year-old show.
Gio, I promise it's not. That is the most minimalistic spoiling.
Long
of
live the blur.
Smallville.
Yes, thank you, John.
And
The
Gio, are you ever
Blur-
gonna
the
go
Blur
watch
is the-
Smallville?
The Blur is the greatest superhero of all time. Long live the Blur.
The blur. It doesn't make sense. Why isn't the Flash the blur? It doesn't. That part doesn't make sense. You can't argue with me on that.
All right. Well, I think that concludes our James Gunn directing Superman Legacy. Thanks for
Yellow Man
everyone
salute
letting
you.
us know your thoughts in the chat. And I think that's going to do it for Mr. Jake Berlin.
It will. I'm 2 picks into my fantasy draft, guys. I'm going strong so far. Going strong.
Who's your first pick?
I got
Nobody-
Juan Soto and Vlad Jr. back to back.
Nice.
What about Aaron Judge?
He went number 4. Plus, I would never take a Yankee. So, adios, guys. Thank you so much.
Later, man.
Appreciate it. Have fun talking to Sam. Bye, guys.
Later,
All right, bud.
Yeah.
Later. And then there were 3. Okay. Well, before we get into Shazam Fury of the Gods, we got a quick plug that we're going to do. Jacob, do you want to let the audience know about something that was done over the weekend regarding Apocaflix movies?
Absolutely. All I need to know is a release day, and then I could go. Does it say?
Oh, yes. Friday morning at 9 a.m.
All right. So Friday morning at 9 a.m., our next episode of the casting table is going to drop. And we did a super fun one. It is myself, Jake Berlin, and Brian Avalosino, and we did the Lanterns. And that means we did Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. We did them as a duo episode. So it's a nice long 45-ish minute episode for you guys. And we cast who we would like to play Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. In our eyes, we actually cast them as duos. So for example, we took actor A and actor B and said, we want this to be our Hal Jordan and this to be our Jon Stewart. And we presented it that way. It was a lot of fun. Brian is a huge Green Lantern fan. So we had a lot of fun talking about the potential actors who could play these roles. So check it out this Friday at 9 a.m., the casting table where we cast Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
Man, I really wish I were a part of that. I'd say like my Jon
Oh,
Stewart.
let's hear yours.
You're not part of the DC casting table.
I know. I had a
Come on,
very,
bro.
very busy
I'm sorry.
day.
Look,
My Jon Stewart.
I demand 2 things going forward. When
What's
you start casting The Last of Us season 2, I want in,
Ooh.
and Superman Legacy. Get me on those shows. I need to be
Okay,
on those
we
shows.
can
gotta
do that.
both of those. Definitely
Pen-
Superman Legacy
pencil me in.
before July. My Jon Stewart, if anybody was wondering, I chose 2. I chose Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight
Nice.
and Predator.
And the
And then I went with Wayne T. Carr, who
Ooh,
shot
to Google this
footage
guy.
of Jon Stewart for Snyder Cut, but WB refused to let Zack Snyder use Jon Stewart because they had plans with a show that isn't happening anymore.
Right.
Hal Jordan, I had Glenn Powell. So
Nice.
Glenn Powell,
those are
I
good
feel like
ones.
is kind of like everyone's pick right now. Are these photos real or are these photos shopped? Do we actually have real photos of him in the suit? 'Cause
there
this one
is-
looks sweet.
Yeah,
The
there
third one
is
in
a
on Google.
photo of Wayne T. Carr.
He's like
donning
he's holding
the-
he's holding
he's
a ring
holding
like
the
that.
ring, and he's
It's
on
a side
like
shot.
side shot.
Yeah, okay. He looks really good. He looks
Yeah.
good in it.
And they shot the whole scene with Ben Affleck, and nope. So he went with Martian Manhunter at the end. Maybe we'll
Gotcha.
see that one day. So there it is, guys. Our casting table Green Lanterns coming up this Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So stay tuned for that. Very exciting to figure out who they cast. And you never know. Maybe
Garrett
the
Hedlund there
casting-
on your
maybe
thumbnail
the
is not a
casting
bad
director
choice.
is watching and being like, hey, great idea. There you go.
You
All
never
right.
know.
Let's get into it. We're going to talk Shazam Fury of the Gods. This is a full-on spoiler maybe that means something to you, or maybe it doesn't. I mean, the universe is rebooting, and who knows?
Is it though?
I really don't know, man.
If
And
we're watching the post
We
credit
don't
scenes,
know.
is it?
I'm the resident insider, I guess, and I don't even know. But okay, let's get into it. Shazam: Fury of the Gods, the sequel to the 2019 movie. David F. Sandberg returns to direct. Zachary Levi returning as Shazam. Pretty much all the cast returning except for Mary Marvel, who was recast for whatever reason.
Well, just the
Just the
superhero
grown-up
version.
version.
The
Yeah.
grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
She was like half recast. they just let
the same-
Mary
Yeah.
or Grace continue to be the older version of Mary, essentially.
Which I'll tell you what, I didn't even notice in the first movie that it changed actresses.
I noticed because I liked
I
Michelle
didn't.
Borth. I watched the not CSI. What is it on Hawaii? I watched Hawaii 5-0 on CBS for like 5 years, and then she was a big part of that show. She played like the love interest of the main
Is
guy.
that the one who played her in the first one?
Yeah, so she played the older version of her in the first
Okay.
one. So I liked that actress, and she was really good in the role. But like logistically, it kind of makes sense once you get to a certain age, you don't have a different adult version of
Yeah,
yourself.
you would just, I guess, you
Right.
just look like yourself, but with a suit on. Like that's it.
Basically, yeah.
wow. I was looking at because I needed to refresh, and I went and typed it in, and man, those outfits. Thank God they upgraded those outfits.
I like
which
the new
is-
ones. I do like the new outfits, yeah.
Yeah. So let's start off with overall thoughts of Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I guess I'll start it off. It is an improvement in several areas from the first movie. Like I said, I think the outfits are looking much better. I did not find that I can recall an issue with the VFX for a movie that cost $125 million to make. The visual effects were surprisingly good. I do enjoy seeing the Shazam family together and working together, and how they differentiated each one. That was pretty cool. And while I did have some criticisms with the villains, it was nice to see Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren on the big screen, and just doing a fun role. So
Mhm.
I thought it was a solid sequel and a movie that deserved more than what the box office was. Not to negate too far, but stay with the movie. And I had fun with it. So it's harmless. But do you guys feel the same?
Well, the movie's harmless, but the box office results are obviously very harmful. But I'll tell you what, like if anyone has seen my tweet, I loved this movie, honestly. I really did. I enjoyed the first one a lot. I thought it was pretty much on par with the first one. Maybe they improved. Like I felt obviously the larger scale in this movie. They had a bigger budget, right? For this one.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
about 20% increase.
Yeah, not bad. You don't want to give it too much. The first one was kind of beloved, honestly, by a lot of people. I seen this one's not getting even a lot of critic love compared to the first one. But anyways, I enjoyed this movie a lot because to me, it's like every movie has its own bar that it's trying to reach, right? Like to me, in my opinion, like you're not going to compare like a Suicide Squad movie to The Godfather. Like you're looking for it's a different recipe. It's a different result, right? So to me, as far as a family fantasy film that has superheroes in it, where you want, charming moments, emotional moments, like some cool action, I think this movie worked. I am a little biased. I took my niece to go watch it. And she had been to a cartoon movie before. This was her first live action movie in
How old is she?
theaters. She's 5.
Okay.
And she closed her eyes a couple times when the dragon came on screen, but she was fine. And she She leaned over to me in the middle of the movie and was like, "When I grow up, I'm gonna be a superhero." And I'm like,
Oh, nice.
that is why they make these movies, because like, if that sticks with her, then maybe she wants to become, she's a big comic movie fan when she grows up or something. You never know. But look, I get it. This movie's not for everybody. Like, I like the kind of, I don't want to say cheesy, but like, I don't know how you guys would explain it. It has this kind of sappy feel to it, but I think it's all intentional. Like, when they're trust me, there's a few moments, and we'll get to them. There's some scenes in this movie that are absolutely terrible. There really are. But for what this movie is, I really, really enjoyed it. We're probably going to talk about the last 7 or 8 comic book movies that have came out, and like, to me, this is better than at least half of those. So I enjoyed it, but like, look, it's not saving DC. It's not, it's really harmful to the Shazam character overall. But I really enjoyed it, and I like the villains. We'll get into in more depth soon here, but those are my general thoughts.
Wow, I feel like I might be the odd man out here.
No, man.
Then
I mean, Gio didn't sound too high on it either.
I'm just kidding. I actually I like the movie a lot.
Oh, nice.
I had a lot of problems with the movie, like logistic problems, not feel problems though. And I think when you're comparing, like if you go to a comedy, regardless of the cinematography and the sound and the lighting and the direction and the scenes that don't make any sense, if you walk out of a comedy and you were laughing and you had a good time and you're happy, the comedy succeeded, right?
Yes.
Similar to this movie, it's meant to be a family fun adventure where you come out feeling kind of like lifted up type of thing at the end, because he's a very jovial and uplifting type of character. And that's in that part, it succeeded. And so all the other parts of the film don't matter. They don't hold quite as much weight on their detriment as how much it succeeded, because those parts of it hold more weight with the final product, right? Does it tie in? Does it do this? Does it relaunch? Like that part doesn't matter. I enjoyed myself for a good 2 hours, and my kids enjoyed it because my kids really love the first movie. And I really like the first movie too. It kind of flip flops. Like Man of Steel is number 1, but then like Wonder Woman, Shazam kind of flip flop for that 2-3 spot in like the overall Snyderverse like ranking in my eyes.
Yeah.
And this one didn't live up to the first, I feel like. But in the same way that like Guardians 2 didn't live up to Guardians because it set such a high bar, it's hard to live up to when that bar is set. The first Shazam like surprised me so much. It set a high bar that this one just couldn't match it. And so, but it's still overall like thumbs up. It was a good movie. I did have some problems with some scenes that didn't make sense. I had some problems with some universe tie-ins that don't make any sense and some cameos that don't make any sense. But and whereas like I like a writer in my brain is going like, I would have done this a little differently. Like, okay, the rules you're setting for the universe, kind of like, why didn't you do this? Like that doesn't make any sense. So like that stuff, but it doesn't hold the same sort of weight of how fun they were having, the heartfelt moments. One detriment for me is we didn't get enough Asher Angel as Billy. And
100% agree with you.
And he was like, and when he was on screen though, he was amazing. And there was heart, and that's the part that made me tear up. Like, and the scene like towards the end.
Yes.
And like I loved that. And so that's like, it's a detriment that I just wanted more of this one character, even though we got a lot of Shazam, we didn't get a lot of Billy. And so but overall, like I liked it a lot. So yeah, once we get into spoilers, we can talk about some stuff that maybe we did or didn't like or specifics. But yeah, overall, I dig it.
Right.
And the kids like it too.
Well, I mean, let's just get into spoilers, okay? Because
spoil it away.
Okay, spoiler.
Dark Side comes back. Shit got crazy. It was nuts.
They finished the Zack Snyder plan at the end of this movie. That would have been crazy. They should have.
Dark Side showed up.
Yeah.
But Sean, you talked about Asher Angel and Billy Batson, and I completely agree with you. I think we should have gotten more of the kids.
Yeah.
Not to say they weren't in the movie, but like I feel like
we got more of the other kids. We got a lot of Jack Dylan Grazer, and he was
Jack
great.
Dylan Grazer, yes.
He's probably my favorite part of the movie, to be honest. Like he was nailing it.
Basically,
the whole movie.
He's the kid star of this movie. It's not Asher Angel,
right.
It's him.
Yeah. Totally agree with that. And then the other kids, they kept losing their powers. So it's like, all right, we got more of them because they kept losing their powers. Whereas it's like Shazam, like untouchable. He can't lose his powers. So it's just Zachary
Well,
Levi
it's
the
weird.
whole
It's like
movie, like
as far as
99% of it.
casting, yeah, like as far as casting goes, like Levi's the lead, right? But then the kids are like higher on the casting than their adult counterparts
Yes.
are
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
movie. Yeah.
The call sheet, yeah, basically.
Um,
Sorry, Jay, I kind of
no, you're good. It's an open discussion, but it's. I mean, that was one problem I had. The other problem I had, and Karen talked about it in this comment right here. I liked everything, but Zachary Levi was very zany. Yeah, there were times where I'm like, dude, you got to take it down a level, okay? Like you're going because it didn't make sense when Billy Batson was on screen. He was nothing like a kid. If anything, he was a lot more mature and
More
serious.
mature
And it's just
than
like,
He really
Zachary
was.
Levi was.
He was
and it's like,
playing.
what was the direction here?
He
Like,
was playing the 13-year-old version of Billy, not the 18-year-old version of Billy, which there should have been some evolution to his demeanor, essentially.
right.
I recently saw on TikTok, because I spend way too much time on TikTok. There was a Tom Hanks interview with, I think it's Graham Norton, the English like talk show host. He was in his full like Sully makeup, so I assume this is right around the time then that movie was coming out. So probably a few years old. And they asked him about his accent in Forrest Gump. And he's like, how did you get the kid to act like you? And how did you come up with like your acting method for how you were going to portray this character? And he goes, I just hung out with young Forrest because he was from Alabama. He's from the South. He talked like this. He had a drawl on his, and he pronounced everything with a hard G.
Right.
Like he didn't say walking, he said walkinga. And like there was like so like if you go back and watch that movie, he acts like the older version of this young kid. So they didn't make the kid change his acting style. Tom Hanks, being a fantastic actor, changed the way older Forrest was going to act. And that's something that Zachary Levi did not do. And so that was a debt he was so zany. He was such a caricature of what you think a teenager would act like, but not actually what this teenager that has to deal with world-ending scenarios actually is acting like. Because Billy was very serious in this film. Shazam was not at all serious in this movie, and it kind of hurt the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it as much as I do now, but you guys are right, because the problem is, the reason I didn't realize it is because they're not cutting to Asher Angel at all during the movie. Like, other than that one scene, he appears at the beginning at the high school, kind of towards the beginning when he's talking to his friend. So he probably has less than 3 minutes of screen time, maybe 5 at the most, if that. And I doubt him and Zachary Levi were together at all.
I mean,
for this movie, I know they were on the first movie, like as far as on set.
Yeah. There's this one scene in the parking garage when he turns into Shazam. So I mean, they could have filmed that on the same day or something.
But they don't have to, though.
Right.
Because they don't ever have to interact with each other. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And from that point on, we talk about the scene where he finally embraces Rosa as his mom, which once that happened, first off, that's what I was waiting for. Like, as far as at that point, I did not get that in the movie, the heart and like, the whole family thing and whatnot. I mean, it's touched on a little bit, when they leave the house and they're all like, bye mom. And then he's like, bye Rosa. And then like, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, is that going to be a thing? But they don't touch on it again for like an hour later in the movie.
Right.
But from that point on, that's when the movie took off for me, because I thought the first 2 acts were just okay. Like, we're going through it, but I was checking my watch, I was checking my phone, and I was just like, it certainly had its moments. The first 2 acts, like that whole rescue that the Shazam family does, where they're rescuing people from the bridge and whatnot. I thought that was great. I thought, everyone who was playing the older versions of the Shazam family was clearly having a lot of fun and
Mhm.
just like just going with the movie and all that. But did you guys
Megan
feel the
Good
same
had
way?
all
Like,
the
was the
fun.
movie kind of dragging for you, or not?
Maybe a little bit. Megan Good plays a great older version of the girl. Like
I
she's
she was
just
100%
having
agree.
so much fun
Yeah.
on screen. So like her playing a silly fun version, it works because it's supposed to. The girl's like 8 years old or something. Yeah, no, I guess part of that they really slowed down to kind of like do some research on what the I guess what the motivations of the Daughters of Atlas were going to be.
Hmm.
I felt like they kept introducing like branch off storylines for the other kids. They didn't go anywhere.
Right.
So they're like Mary Marvel. Oh, she's so smart, but we're just gonna see her hung over after a college party
Yeah.
and reading a book one
And
time.
that's where her storyline kind of
And-
ended.
and it ended. Yeah, exactly.
They
And that
never
was
brought it up again.
They try to introduce some diversity with like LGBTQ stuff, but they just they spent like 30 seconds on it.
It's like here.
Oh yeah, he's gay. All right, cool.
Right.
That's it. Okay. Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
accept you. Okay,
We all
it's
know.
acceptance. I guess you don't really need to dwell on it, but like you like they made a big deal and didn't go anywhere with it. And then the other characters didn't really get much else to do at all.
You had Adam Brody, who wanted to like be his own superhero
Yeah.
and whatnot. So
Well, his character, I guess, got some stuff to do because Jack Dylan Grazer got stuff to do with Rachel Ziegler's character.
mhm.
I mean, I don't even remember her name, Anne, her name. But he was kind of the star of the movie, to be honest. Like he did such a great job being just himself and not having to be superhero. He was funny. He had some heartfelt moments too with his like when he was like fighting the mind control and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed everything he was doing there. I didn't really get the motivation for like what the daughters wanted and why they were turning on each other all of a sudden. Like they weren't on the same page. Like where did they come from? All of a sudden they just showed
Right.
up. Were they imprisoned? Like or they? I guess they were just stuck in their realm because that when the staff broke, right?
Yeah,
Well,
there was a
staff
quick
broke,
line
they
about
were
when
able
the
to break
staff broke.
free.
It's been 3 years since the staff broke. So
Right.
what have you been doing? Like I
Good
don't know.
point.
I
Yeah.
they I don't know. Yeah, that part. Not to say it was confusing. They just wasn't fleshed
Well,
out.
I feel like to me, when they meet for lunch or whatever, like Helen Mirren kind of explains it. And to me, I bought her. She was like, look, if this happened to you, if you woke up and like somebody stole your power, like your father's powers and all that, what would you do basically? And hey, that made sense to me.
Sure.
But like, it was basically just like a villain monologue explaining her
Right.
motives, but I didn't mind. And I also didn't mind that the three sisters were very different. Like, Helen Mirren's just trying to like, she really just wants the staff, their powers back and go back and rebuild their home. Lucy Liu wants revenge.
She's
The
hellbent.
band just wants to do, Rachel Zegler just wants to do the right thing. And it's like, they're not getting along, because of all this. And I like that they weren't straight up villains. I'm not saying they're great villains at all. They're not, but they worked for this movie for me.
I guess they did spend 6,000 years together, probably stuck. So they probably were on each other's nerves, right?
Right.
You did say that at one point. And which I thought that was a fun callback to the parents at the very end when we're on full spoilers. Wonder Woman shows up, and they're like, "Why do our kids have a thing for older women?" I chuckled at that. My wife bumped me at when I did, and then I doubt my kids even picked up on it. But I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, so I think I don't know something. So a gripe I have with any superhero movie, and it was on display in this one. When you're setting up the rules of your world, live by your rules. You tell me whatever your rules are. I'm going to be on board. If you say I can run 100 miles an hour, okay, cool. You can run 100 miles an hour. You can do this, do that. But it's like it was almost like it was like not editing. It was like directing issues that I had where he's inside the dome. He closes it in on the stadium. And then all of a sudden he walks up to the edge of the dome with the staff. And he's like, I got to do this. Goodbye, everyone. I have to do this. Turns around and walks back through the stadium. And we had this scene of him walking down the hallway. It's like, bro, you can fly. Just fly into the stadium. Right?
Yeah, they wanted to make it more.
They were trying to make it dramatic. It just didn't make sense to me. It's like, that's not what the character would do. They're flying everywhere. The whole movie, they're flying everywhere. So why are you all of a sudden making this like 300-yard walk through the parking lot and around underneath it didn't that. So it's like, that was just one example, but there were other things where in the moment I'm like, that scene doesn't make sense. Like, why would this character do this? So that was almost like an issue with the directing. I wonder if Sandberg, like, by the end of this, is just he's like, I don't care anymore. Like, or
we'll get to his thought.
Yeah, and he has had many thoughts. Did you catch his cameo too? He was picked up by a harpy and like dropped. I think it was.
Oh,
him. It was right when they started breaking out, and he was like in a park, and they just snatched him up, and then they drop him on a car or something like that.
Jeez.
It was I think it was him. It looked exactly like, but it was like a flash of the face. So I'm not 100% sure if it was him or not.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm sorry. One
go
more.
Go ahead. It's okay.
And speaking to what Samir is saying too, Darla's sequence with the unicorns was hilarious. I loved all the unicorn stuff, but the harpies, right? They had wings. They can fly. Why are you scared of unicorns that have to stay on the ground if you can fly away from them? And when the unicorns are running after all the monsters on the street, the harpies are just like fluttering their wings and landing, and then fluttering their wings. So I guess maybe they can't fly, but why do you have wings if you? Like harpies, they're picking people up and flying them in the air and dropping them. But
right.
When the ground creature is coming after you, why aren't you flying away?
Maybe they were so scared of the unicorns, but you can fly away. Yeah.
So it's like, if you're gonna set up rules, live by your rules. And this is true in many superhero movies.
Right.
Like, this is not the only one. It's just the one we're talking about. So that part, it was a gripe for me. But overall, like I was saying earlier with the non-spoiler stuff, like the positives outweigh that, because the whole scenes with the unicorns, and I loved all the Skittles stuff with Darla.
Yeah.
She's like, taste the rainbow. And then she's like, taste the rainbow, mother. Beep. And it was like, I loved all that. And they were all riding badass looking unicorns. They were just
that was a nice tie-in.
It was cool. It was fun. It was fun to give the human characters with no more powers something to do. Because you had to keep them busy somehow. Otherwise, they're just standing around waiting for Shazam to save the day.
Yeah, man. Speaking of flying, you know who couldn't fly? That teacher who just mind control.
Diedrich Baker. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I was like, Jacob, hey, it's the voice of Batman.
Jacob, there were some dark moments in this movie.
So yes, there are. And look, I could see someone argue that maybe there's a tonal issue where like the dark moments don't match the lighthearted moments, and it's like some of the stuff was almost too dark compared to the rest of the movie. But for me, like, that was in the first act, right? When Lucy Liu has the teacher walk off the ledge. I thought 100%, oh, one of the Shazam kids are gonna catch him before he falls. Nope. You hear the splat. Lucy Liu says, I forget how. I don't know exactly what she says, but she's like, I forget how weak they are. They just pop like grapes. And I'm like, oh my God, did they really just do that? And then so what that did for me, it raised the stakes in the movies for me. I thought after that moment, okay, everybody except Shazam is not safe in this movie. Not that the teacher was an important character, but a lot of times, even in like darker movies, they don't let innocent characters die like that. Like, they'll just, they'll put them in danger, but then, they're saved at the last minute. They actually let this guy die. And so for me, I was like, oh, damn, any of these kids could die. The parents could die. Like, they raised the stakes in this movie for me. And then
murdering people.
Later on, when all the creatures break out, there's this extra she got the most screen time that I've ever seen any extra get. She's the one when they all first come out. And I think they almost crush her and she gets away.
Like the things almost like stab her and they stop.
Oh, the things almost stab her and she gets away. Oh, she's like safe.
Yeah.
And then first of all right, the monsters start, cracking out of their little thing. Why aren't you running? They're sitting there staring at it. They're literally, if that was you, wouldn't you be hauling ass? Like, I would be gone.
Oh, look,
But
it's a lion dog winged creature. Oh
yeah.
shit, it's a chimera.
So she's
Run.
standing there staring, and then another one like comes and sticks the spike behind her back and throws her into a building. And I'm like, well, that's what you get for standing there and staring at it, an egg hatching or something. But I'm like, damn, they went pretty dark and violent with this movie, which it worked in some scenes and didn't in others. But I liked that. I mean, it's a little too far sometimes though.
Are you
for
the
this
type
movie.
Are you the type of people where if you see a group of people running, are you just gonna start running, or are you gonna stand around and ask questions? I go, hey, why is everyone running? Where the hell are you guys going?
Yeah, what's going on? What are you guys
What
looking
are you
at?
guys running? What are you guys running for?
Look, curiosity killed the cat. That's why they say that, right? Like, come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Yeah, but it didn't bother me though.
All right, so let's pivot. And so this movie made $30 million opening weekend.
Oh, well, are you trying to finish talking about the movie itself?
Oh yeah, do you have any final thoughts? I'm
Well,
sorry. Go ahead.
Post-credit scenes, and I think the final scene with Wonder Woman itself. We'll just touch on it real quick.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, because I was gonna tie that into the marketing about like how they showed Wonder Woman, and I'm just
Right.
But yeah,
Well,
let's go ahead.
Yeah,
and
I had a
talk
couple
about...
movie points still too.
So
Okay.
He does the thing. Awesome fight. I thought that was really cool, inventive the way they did the entire final fight. But
Yes,
why
the
did
dragon fight was good, I thought.
Why did they kill him just to bring him right back? They could have done the exact same scene, but made it make more sense. And because if they weren't going to stick with the stakes, exactly what you just said, they raised the stakes with killing innocent people. You killed them, and literally 2 minutes later, you bring them right back to life. Like, why? That didn't make sense. But what you could have done is just, hey, I used up all the last of my juice, and my powers are gone. And then, hey, let's bring Anne back home, and let's lay this to rest in their realm. And then Wonder Woman shows up and redoes the staff, and everyone gets their powers back. Like, they could have done the same like A to B sequence of events without actually killing him. It just kind of didn't make sense unless it was just for the joke of, oh, I was dead. I didn't notice you talking good things about me. Like, the part didn't. It was a gripe I had. It's like, I don't know why they had to kill him just to bring him back to life. And then Wonder Woman showing up, and then they're using that in the marketing, because I was thinking about that for like the last part of the movie. I'm like, I thought I saw a commercial with her in it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a post credit, it was just the last scene of the movie. So I thought that was interesting that they decided to do the Black Adam route of marketing. I guess they weren't talking about it in interviews, but the trailers were, or the TV spots were showing her.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? I thought it was really interesting. It was interesting in a not a good way too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't mind Wonder Woman showing up because he's talking about her the whole movie. There's a presence. Her presence is felt throughout the whole movie. Didn't he talk about her in the first movie too, if I'm not mistaken? Or
he talked about kind of all of them, like the heroes and stuff.
Like, and he hinted that he would have contacted her with the flying note thing, right?
Yes.
So like, her showing up is not the problem, but I agree with you. Like, killing him and bringing him back like in less than 5 minutes of screen time, like, it was just unnecessary. And then like, does bringing back the land also bring back humans, or I don't know. I guess he's a god.
Other gods.
Gods can revive other gods.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's magic, so I don't know how it works. But
I really I like the dinner scene with the faux Wonder Woman with Shazam, the wizard, I guess. His tech. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was
other
funny.
than the face switch, like, I didn't mind it. I just didn't mind. At first I didn't. Did they indicate that it was a dream sequence before it started?
No.
So like,
it's only after when he wakes up.
They don't like show him dreamy. Like, you have no indication it's a dream sequence until it's funny because they play around with the neck cut off on the, even when they show Wonder Woman at the end. At first they just go to her neck. They're like, no, it's really her, because they know everybody talked about the Henry Cavill thing.
Yes, they were continuing the bit. I thought that was great. Yeah,
because they did it in the dream sequence and there. But yeah, Jamun Hansu's face on her, I don't know, that was a little weird. It's a little weird, but
it was weird. But I think that's what made it funny.
But what you mentioned earlier, like, Megan Good was so funny in this movie. I cracked up when she was like you went to the eye doctor at night? And then she's like, yeah, I made some friends. And then she's like, why are you making friends at the eye doctor? Like that stuff cracked me up because like kids say stuff like that.
Yes.
Like they don't fully understand the story that you're telling. So like you gotta
Uh-huh.
cover it up. And then they're like, wait, what? And then so I like that. But yeah, it was fun overall. Had a good time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the last time I see Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Man,
It won't be.
I because I have no idea if she's gonna be in the Flash movie or not. I mean, I had an idea, but they just locked that picture in today. It's finished. It's
This
done.
picture
Also, they
lock.
could have changed stuff up until now.
Oh, yeah, they definitely changed stuff.
Okay.
I'm telling you that. But
So given where James Gunn has said, hey, we're doing a new thing, but we're also going to have Elseworlds, but we're also doing this, and we're like, why would you leave in the final post-credit scene with Mark Strong was bringing Zavanna back, and the Mr. Mind, right, is the
Yeah.
caterpillar thing?
Mhm.
Why would you leave that in if you're not hinting for a third movie? Like, hey, if we're rebooting the universe, take that out. Like, what? It's just a silly tag at the end.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense to leave it in unless hey, if this makes money, we're gonna do a third one. And then so you're still living in the same Snyderverse, kind of, but I guess as Elseworlds. And then also the same thing with the Justice Society and Black Adam, which is a whole nother can of worms if you
Oh
want to get
my
into the Rock
God.
stuff that happened. That because apparently he shut down a Hawkman and Adam cameo.
Yeah,
or
those
something.
were going to be the original cameos.
Right. But I guess you get Waller's lackeys, aka your wife, to do the work.
Yeah,
to
Harcourt
make a
and,
cameo.
Ec-
I don't remember the
Economist,
guy's name.
uh,
Yeah, and
Harcourt.
so they're great because I love them from Peacemaker, but it just doesn't. I don't know. And then once again, then you go back to the silly Shazam over there going pew pew pew. Like, why are you in some random podunk street shooting bottles at an old gas station? Like, what? I don't know. So like none of the post-credit stuff makes any sense depending on where the universe is going. Why are we? I don't know.
Well, that's what I don't get either, is because if they're not planning to keep, because look, obviously the performance of this movie is gonna affect Shazam's future, whether
Sure.
it's sequels or the character being in the universe at all.
Mhm.
And so they don't know what the box office is going to be. I mean, they knew the tracking or whatever, but they don't know for sure. But still, they know in their minds if they have plans for him in the future. So like if they're gonna put both of those post-credit scenes indicate that, hey, Shazam will be back at some point.
Mhm.
Like, and if he's not, if you know right now definitively he's not, you could have easily taken those scenes out.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they had to do reshoots or add a scene, you're removing scenes.
Right.
And maybe they just would have been like, that would be weird if we had no post-credit scenes. Well, that's fine if you don't have any. Like it's not mandatory nowadays for comic book movies to have them.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever didn't have a post-credit scene, so
Yeah, and it didn't, right?
It had a
That's right.
mid-credit scene.
was that a
Yeah.
mid-credit scene?
Yeah,
Kinda.
the scene with on the beach was
Yeah, it was like
mid credits.
super early in the credits, but yeah, it did happen
Okay.
after the credits started.
Okay.
But no end credit scene, which was for that movie it was suitable.
Yeah, because it was more like a mourning of Chadwick's passing. But I think they did do a small little thing the same way at the end of Endgame we heard Iron Man like hammering away at his armor. I think they kind of did a similar thing at the end of Wakanda Forever for like there was, if I remember right, it was like some chanting or something.
Oh, I don't
like
think
Wakanda,
we stayed.
Something like that. I think I read it somewhere. I don't think I recognized it watching it. I think I read it after the fact.
Yeah, but I just don't think
regardless,
the filmmakers of the studio don't have to be locked into their post-credit scenes because they planned them 2 years ago.
No,
you know what I mean? They should take them out if they're not relevant anymore. And I think they just leave them in. Well, who cares? I don't know.
Or it's setting up for it. They should have had at the very end. Shazam will return in the Justice ... Society.
Yeah, but for me, I think, look, if this movie fails, this movie's failing box office wise.
Yeah.
What is
I
don't think you have to like, Nobody came and watched these movies, so let's completely never do Shazam again and forget Zachary Levi. I think he could still be a side character in a Justice Society movie or a top 5 to 7 character in the Justice Society because they were the best. If it's Hawkman from Black Adam, I am so down for that. Like to him to be the leader of Justice Society, and you have Shazam as like one of the characters with him, that could work, and they would have great interactions back and forth. But I don't think we're getting another Shazam movie though. No,
Definitely
never.
not. Not after.
According to Box Office Mojo, currently worldwide, it's
Oh my
sitting at
God.
66
That is so bad.
million worldwide.
That is so bad.
Domestic 31.8, so about 32. So it hasn't made any much more on Monday and Tuesday, today. So that's sad.
Well, I think back to James Gunn's statements with that video he released on January 31st, where he talked about Shazam and how it always existed in its own corner of the universe. So that for me was him leaving the door open for more Shazam. But I think after this box office performance and then Black Adam, how that, fared, I think this is done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because I wouldn't mind seeing more of Zachary Levi as Shazam and some of the JSA members, but it's I think with these 4 movies that are releasing this year, Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman, he's kind of leaving the door open for whichever one of those succeed. Can he use it in his new universe that will be a soft reboot? Because
Right.
I read somewhere that he intends on working with Margot Robbie again. Obviously,
Is
Amanda
Blue Beetle-
Waller is
Blue Beetle
from
this year?
the prior universe. What?
Is Blue Beetle this year?
Yeah, I think it's August, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I couldn't remember when the release date. Yeah, August 18th. You're right.
Right. But,
yeah, because I guess that does make sense because you have Waller sticking around, so you still got Viola Davis on contract doing Waller stuff, but she's from the old universe, and he announced that, and he was very excited and great. I love Viola Davis, more Waller, and she, as we saw in Black Adam, she's heading up the Justice Society. She's the one sending them on missions. So
sure.
I guess that kind of does make sense based on his announcement that it would stick around for. What I just hope they do a really good job at rebranding what is we're going to call the Snyderverse still, because it's still the same people, as Elseworlds, so that the DCU can move forward with whatever that universe is going to be.
I think the DCEU because then you have Aquaman, as you reminded me, Sean, I think a few episodes ago, that movie's still on the slate, which I am concerned about because of Black Adam and Shazam. Like I don't know how much WB is going to market that movie. I mean, the marketing for Shazam Fear of the Gods was okay. I enjoy the trailers, but it felt like the Wonder Woman being put into the TV spot was, them breaking the emergency glass and pressing the button and saying, we need to pump these numbers up. I think the projection started out at 50 million, went to 40 million. Now it's 30 million. That's how much it ended up making. So, I don't think Wonder Woman being revealed was a part of their plans at all. But, so yeah, it's why do you guys think people didn't go out and watch this movie? Was it because they knew a reboot happening? I mean, do you think that the general audience knows a reboot's happening? Like, was it because of the first movie? Was it because of Zachary Levi? What happened?
I mean, one of the other topics for tonight was fatigue, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do we feel like there's just too much superheroing going around with 4 DC movies coming out this year and 3 Marvel movies and 2 Marvel series? and that's reduction, right? There was going to be more. There was going to be like 4 Marvel series coming out this year,
Right.
and 2 Star Wars shows, and an animated show. So 3 Star Wars shows, 4 Star Wars. Like there's too much genre fare, superhero in general, where I think the general audience is getting convoluted and not knowing which way is up. My kid, like, I'll tell, this is part of the MCU, this is the Marvel, cinematic universe, and he's 9, like, he should understand, but there's so much that he's like, which one does this belong to? Like, he'll ask me, like a character he's never heard of before. He's like, which one is this? Because he doesn't know the difference yet. So I think that's kind of like general audiences too. And whereas, like John Wick is tracking to do like over 100 mil, which is a lot for an R-rated shoot 'em up movie, right? That's huge. So I think maybe the tides are kind of changing. I don't think it's Marvel fatigue as much as like superhero and general fatigue. I guess if you're going to put a label on it, there's too much and they need to slow down because they're oversaturating the market with blockbusters, and we're not getting like the middle of the road movies anymore. That's all going to streaming basically. I don't know, because like we get together for the big movies, right? And even then, like, we even have in our like group chat, we're like, oh yeah, I think I'll skip that one. Like that's starting to become part of the conversation, where before it was like, hey, movie's coming out, sign me up for a ticket.
I mean, before we would have all went and watched Shazam together, like, and now it's like we're even skipping big comic book movies. Well, not all completely, but just like we don't treat them like events anymore. Only like the super exclusive ones.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's hard because look, my first reaction, because like I knew we were going to talk about comic book fatigue, movie fatigue, and all that. My first instinct was to come in here and say that there isn't comic book movie fatigue, but I was like, I did some little bit of research, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but if you look at this, so the red ones are basically the movies that either lost money or barely broke even, right? And like, is this like, so those bottom 4 are the last 4 to come out. So 3 out of 4 are complete failures. Black Panther was almost always going to do well no matter what, because like the first one did so well, and even that's a disappointment from the first one. And other than Doctor Strange, like, look, the Batman did well for what that movie was. Doctor Strange almost made $1 billion. Okay, but look at Thor: Love and Thunder, 760. Not great, but still profitable. And it's like, it doesn't only have to do with box office, but this is an indication, like, we as fans, we speak with our wallets, and they're showing that they're not interested unless it's like a super high-end character.
No Way Home.
Like, here's the thing is, like a solo Batman movie, a Spider-Man movie, probably in any Avengers film, regardless of who's in it, those are safe. Like, their box office, like, they don't have to worry about it.
Well, the Black Panther number you have, is that the current, or is that did you do that right now?
858 million. Yeah.
Remember, the first movie made $2 billion, right? Didn't it?
I think it made 1.5.
It was like 1.5. So that's
almost
double what the sequel made. Right. And granted, a different time, right? 2018 was a very different time. And this one doesn't have Chadwick, so there's some detriment that goes into it. But like, even the audience for that dwindled, and then the audience for this one dwindled. The audience for Ant-Man actually went up, even though I think it's going to make less in the long run. The opening night was a lot more, so that's interesting. I think, honestly, I don't know if it's fatigue as much as quality of content. Like,
quality, that's the word I was going to use. If
you're going to put out a good movie, right? No Way Home a year ago, right, made over $2 billion, didn't it? I think at the end of its run, because it was a damn good movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that movie was, I mean,
Spielberg's praising Tom Cruise for saving cinema. No Way Home made $2 billion. Spider-Man saved cinema. Come on.
Exactly. I know people forget about that, but okay, they act like it didn't exist, didn't happen.
Right.
I
think quality films, and there was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever did make my top 10 of last year. It was number 10. But recently, like before the Oscars came out, I was binging through the rest of the Oscar movies. It got knocked out of my top 10 because and in years past, there was always a superhero movie on my top 10. Not this year.
Yeah.
The Batman didn't make it. Wakanda Forever didn't make it. Thor: Love and Thunder didn't make it.
Wow.
There was not a single superhero movie in my top 10 of the year. Because there's quality of the films surrounding it are better, and we're getting into weirder stuff too. I think that's Everything Everywhere All at Once like showed what a multiverse movie, but it also was a heartfelt story, and there was so much more that went into it, and that quality of the other films. So I think we can't take a superhero film for granted. You can't just say, oh, it's a superhero movie, go see it. No, you need to tell me a good family story. You need to tell me a good love story, or a heist movie, right? Like that type of thing. You can't just throw a cape on it and call it, like, expect to make money.
That, man, what Andy's saying right here is something to not be overlooked. What's the time between DC movies going to theater to streaming? I know a lot of people that are watching less Marvel in cinemas because the Disney Plus release is so close.
Yeah, it's like 45 days or whatever.
They announced that Shazam: Fury of the Gods will be hitting streaming in about 30 days. That is crazy. That tells me that the theatrical run, they're going to pull this movie from theaters. So
sure.
If you had any interest in watching Fury of the Gods, you better hurry. Otherwise, it's going to go on HBO Max. I think streaming absolutely plays a part in the decline of people being interested in it. I mean, obviously people are still going out and watching it, but I don't feel the excitement anymore. I don't feel the hype like I did the first 3 phases of the MCU, like I did, for at least for myself, with BVS and the first Wonder Woman movie, and even Suicide Squad. That movie sucked, but I still watched it like 3 times in theaters. Like now, once I see a comic book movie one time, I'm good.
You mean Oscar-winning Suicide Squad?
Right. Crazy Studio Squad. That's what
I think the quality thing is true because Sean doesn't like the Batman as much as we do for some reason, but
I like it fine. It just it was long. It was
but it's a success as far as like it's generally loved, right? So let's take the Batman off for a second. But so you go Doctor Strange 2, divisive, Thor, Love and Thunder, divisive. Black Adam, divisive, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So look, it's a good movie. I really enjoy it. But at box office and quality, far dip from the first one. Ant-Man 3, we all know the story with that, and now Shazam 2. So it's like, it's all of that. And Gio, you're so right about the streaming thing, or who said that in the
it was Andy,
right? About the streaming thing, because even I am not with comic book movies. But even I am doing that now. And I didn't even realize I was doing that until right now. I was like, oh, Megan's going to be on streaming in 2 weeks. I really want to see it in theaters, but I got to pick and choose what I do with my time here. I'll just wait for streaming. So even I'm doing that. So I can imagine people are doing that with these comic book movies. It's and look, casual movie fans, they're not even paying attention to release dates or anything. They're just, oh wow, that movie's coming out, I didn't even know. So it's unfortunate. And look, Shazam, people don't know who Shazam is, even just casual fans. If I go ask a random person at my work, are you gonna go watch Shazam 2? They're gonna be like, what? Shazam, and I'll show them a picture oh, him? Nah, I didn't even know it was coming out. So that's a problem in and of itself. But yeah, it is very disappointing. And it's not just a Marvel DC thing. Look, Ant-Man and Shazam are not high performing box office characters to begin with, but they still very, very underperformed.
I mentioned movies because I'm coaching my kids' baseball team. So my other coaches, we were just chit chatting. I was like, oh yeah, I went and shot. They're like, what'd you do this weekend? I went and shot Shazam. Like, oh yeah, that came out, huh? And they're like, immediately, just without even commenting on, they're like, oh yeah, my kids can't wait for Super Mario. And I'm like, well, that's a movie that's still 2 weeks away now. but and there's other movies like John Wick, there's other films that have come out and they're like, oh, I haven't been in the movies in forever, but like my kids want to see Super Mario, so much. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's like it's the big ones, it's whatever, like the kids run their lives. And I'm coaching a baseball team, so there's a lot of kids around, so there's like it's the world we live in now. And we live in such a movie niche space on the internet that is not what normal people do. And it's the people we follow on Twitter, and it's the people we do, we're in this little bubble. And I always find it funny too, but like when like my job where I get to go out and I meet, I'm in people's homes or I'm in people's businesses from the world. And I always hear people like talking so much, like everyone's talking about it. No one's talking about it. No one in real life outside of our
very
bubble is talking about. Yeah,
like Top Gun Maverick, they'll talk about that movie. Avatar, they'll talk about that movie, but that's about it. I will say there is hope for the genre, at least in the near future. Like, thank God, Volume 3, Guardians, is the next movie coming out,
it's
because
getting high
that
praise
movie
right now.
That movie doesn't represent just another comic book movie. It represents the end of an ensemble that we've been following since almost 10 years, and this is the final one. It's also a movie from the guy who's co-chair of DC Studios and the director of the upcoming Superman Legacy. So it has all that going for it. And then you have the Flash movie, which just got praise from the most unexpected source that any of us thought in Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise
right.
requested to watch the Flash movie and loved it, raved about it, called Andy Muschietti like, what? Like, so those, one Marvel, one DC, if those two are hits, does that fix the genre, or does it like put it on like
it just shows us that it's not completely dead? Right. I mean, it's not even close to being completely dead. Like, I just think because
I'm calling it now. Tom Cruise as an older Hal Jordan, directed by Andy Muschietti. Okay, he's like, I need to work with this man.
There we go.
For James Gunn's DCU. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, no. Wait, what was the question again?
Well, we were just talking about like
where is it going?
Yeah, the near future.
Whether
and the future
okay. Yeah. So no, the genre's not dead, because like I said, 3 out of these last 4, Shazam, Ant-Man, Black Adam, those were never expected. I mean, we thought The Rock playing Black Adam was going to be successful. I guess not. But
have you ever looked up The Rock's box office receipts?
They're not great, right?
They're not great.
But a lot of them are profitable because they don't cost as much as
sure. But like, I mean, he likes to come in and be like, I'm franchise Viagra, right? I saved the Fast franchise. Okay, it's kind of an ensemble.
He's gonna need the Fast franchise.
But if you look at all of his movies overall, like they make
other
money,
than the first,
but they're not.
Other than his first Jumanji movie.
Yeah, but they're not all making all the money, right?
No, they're not.
The superstar in The Rock is his ability to promote himself as a quantifiable thing. Yeah. But I think if you dive into it, it's not quite as profitable as you might lead you to believe.
Yeah, and I just think once we get back to, I don't even want to say, because look, like a new character can come out and be box office successful, right? Like, as long as the movie's great and it does well and it gets word of mouth. But like, once we get back to like the familiars, that the Guardians, kids know who the Flash is. Like, kids, they'll run on the playground and it'll be like, I'm the Flash. Like, regardless of the Ezra Miller thing, I think the Flash is going to do well. And it's like the most hyped movie of all time. I don't know.
Michael Keaton.
Apparently. So, and then like, even though it's a different Captain America, I think like when New World Order comes out, I think it's going to do well. I have a feeling Thunderbolts will do well. But I don't have an answer for the Ant-Man 3s and this, the Black Adams.
I mean, Aquaman made $1 billion. Captain Marvel made $1 billion. Like, these,
I'm worried about Aquaman too, honestly.
But there are random movies that will pop off when people just keep going to see it, and it's not the people who live on the internet who like want to either shit on it or praise it.
It's like random.
It's the normal
sometimes.
people, right?
Yeah, it really is.
It can be.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We had a very fun conversation on Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Talked about the risk of superhero fatigue, and thank you those in the chat for putting your input. Gordon, Andy, Karen, Samir, all of you, thank you so much. We also discussed James Gunn officially directing Superman Legacy, and of course, we did our movie watching challenge. And I think that's going to do it for us. Let's go around and quickly do some plugs. Let's start with our guest, Mr. Sean Wingblade. Where can people find you online?
Thank you guys for having me. I always appreciate chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
Find me online at my name at Sean Wingblade, spell Sean correctly, SEAN, and at Flick and Reel on YouTube and on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter as well. And I will be back. I finally have a Friday night. I've been so busy. Friday nights are normal, just kind of like what we do here Tuesday. Like we just hang out and talk. We have no path or breakdown in mind. We just hang out and talk shit. And that'll be Friday night, our speakeasy, and I'll finally be back again. I've been so busy the last few weeks with coaching stuff and just so many events going on. So can't wait to see you there.
Awesome. Mr. Bartley.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JacobBartley824. Apparently, Brian said check your Twitter. He said something crazy happened, but he just said, I'm guessing somebody responded to my tweet. I guess I'll find out afterwards, but I'm JacobBartley824.
What?
And then check out First Round Fantasy on YouTube. My buddy Gabe and I, we run a fantasy football YouTube channel. And look, there's a whole bunch of free agency moves coming out. Could be seeing where Aaron Rodgers is going soon, where Lamar Jackson might end up going or staying with the Ravens. We'll see, but we're going to be covering it all on First Round Fantasy. So come check it out.
Yeah, what's with the Raiders continuing to get 49er players? Like, it's been a thing since Jerry Rice
Jimmy
and
G
Navarro
in Vegas,
Bowman
man. It's meant to be.
Jimmy G.
I responded to your tweet about Puss in Boots being awesome.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't know
Brian's
what else
talking
Brian's
about. Big
Puss
star
in Boots was awesome.
Sean Wingblade responded to your tweet.
Puss in Boots was great, right?
I know, it really was.
Let's talk more about that.
I keep hearing about that. I'm gonna have to watch it.
You haven't watched it yet? I think it's on Peacock now.
Oh, it's something that
watch.
Brian DM'd me.
Oh, I have
okay.
Peacock.
Oh, nice. I see what he's
Check
talking
it
about.
out.
Yeah.
I loved it. It knocked Pinocchio out of my top 10 for my favorite animated movie of the year. It was
Wow. Pretty high praise. Well, you
That's
guys
high
can find me
praise.
on Twitter at Insider of Geo and my separate channel, Fandom United. Very excited about that. And of course, Apocaflix movies. Click the homepage and check out everything we do. We got anniversary trailer reactions. Last week was the finale of The Last of Us, so you can check out our review shows there. We got reactions, we got news clips, we got casting table coming up. Make sure you tune in for Lanterns casting table Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And thank you so much again for joining us. It's a fun conversation. Until next week, you guys take care.